So here I am in Japan by the family village. I'm actually in Juetsu. I'm at Starbucks. I'm sitting upstairs and there's no one here. That's why I can be quite loud to talk over the music. So don't worry, I'm not freaking anybody out. So I've been working on the map. I've written things like this, and no, I don't expect you to read it. It's just, this is my diary, my journal. And yesterday I think I had a bit of an insight because if we go to the map view, um, how do I organize and what do I want to do? What I want to do here is to be able to, for instance, I'm writing now a piece on authoring. It's a user guide for people to use what we are doing in XR. And I want to be able to have that somewhere useful in the space and not just with a label on the top. Here's a label for some things here, and but it's not really enough. I tried this thing of writing sentences where the different parts are connected to other things. And there's a lot of keywords going on. These are generally AI generated, but I also add to them if I want to, whether it's Sloan, brief note, or all these things, or code snippets, physical. So these all say there's a physical. I'm not sure how that relates. That's interesting. So I've been looking at doing more tags, not this one. Is there another one? Yeah, something like this, like adding what is marked as a separate button at the bottom of the screen, playing with having status things in the dialogue, and tons of things in Keynote. But anyway, what I realized yesterday is that these things already exist. So let's say Authoring for the Future of Text, Volume 6. If I just write at the end of it, marked, and then I do this, I add a concept, and I call, sorry, I clicked on something there. I add a concept, and I call it marked. And that's it. And I now actually have a style, a category called marked. So where did it go? There it is. So it actually shows up orange, but that's really neither here nor there. But that means that I manually tag things to be marked. Similarly, if something is published, so let's just make that there and Command D to define. I'm going to make that a label, for instance, right there it is. So something down here, that's published by Rob and Dini, for instance, that's here, so I can find these types of things. So it means that the system, if you want to use it for just thinking about connected concepts, you can do that, but I'm going to get rid of this, by the way. Boom. But you can also have status things like in progress, right? So let's do that in progress, and we do actually have a style for that, which we can or cannot use. We don't have to. Here it's kind of a dark blue. So this one is what I'm working on. So I'm going to just right here. Boom, it went blue, and there it is. So in progress, right? When I select in progress, it links to this, so I know that's in progress. And if something is to be archived, I can either remove it here, I can hide it, because I have all of these options. So for instance, if we go over here to people, if that's a bit not necessary, or if I want to select it, whoops, if I want to select people, I turn them on and off. Now they're all selected, I can move them somewhere else. Yeah, I could go on and on about different things in this environment, but the key is I can choose. Just go to writing and map again. So I'd like, we can have it in progress here. And guess what? I've got to turn off on concepts again. So go back and turn on marked again. There it is. So if I want to have, let's say, my key things at the top of the screen, I can do that. And I can choose what to mark. For instance, if something else is really, really important. Yeah, sorry, this is the middle of testing, so sometimes it goes a bit slow. But the point is, I can put any kind of tags in the space, and I can add them to any kind of object, and I should do that, because what I realized in the car yesterday is when you're doing knowledge work, there needs to be hands-on. It cannot just be buttons and AI. And by hands-on, of course, I also mean brain-on. It is your knowledge. You have to decide on how it should be. You cannot offload that to anyone else. So it's a bit like a stamp collection. You got to faff about with it. You got to play with it. You got to decide where something should be in your work. So that's really it, actually. It should be marked, right? That it's marked. If it's in progress, it's progress. If it's a core element, let's say, just going to define it. Yeah, leave it as. Let's put it as a note just to make it look a bit different. Core element, yeah, the cube interaction, that's a core element. Boom, right? Here it is. So now every time I want to look at the core documents of what we agreed to, here they are. Anyway, a bit more rambling than I thought, and I see someone's arrived at the Starbucks upstairs, so I will stop recording, and thank you very much for listening to my ramble. The ramble about knowledge work requires hands-on and brains-on work, and tags should be a very flexible way of organizing your space, whether flat or in an environment. Thanks.